Well, hello. We've got Kim Vanderzee Smith here as our student teacher. This week, we brought another amazing lesson with lots of phenomenal stories to the broader group. And just as a reminder, this group that shows up for coaching on Wednesdays, they get a little bit of a lesson on the front end, and then we open it up to coaching. So I ask a question that people can kind of answer in the chat that gives us fodder for coaching. And not always is there one person that's like on a hot seat. Sometimes we can kind of address the circumstance or whatever it is that they put in the chat through lots of examples. And that was kind of how today went. But before we get too far down the road, I want to just get Kim's perspective on the student teacher program that she's a part of. I think we're 7 weeks in to the student teacher program. Just tell people what your thoughts are on it. Maybe why did you decide to join the student teacher program? Maybe what you've got out of it that maybe you didn't expect.
So I think that it was just kind of a deeper knowledge of information that we'd already kind of gone over and reviewed. And so having a better understanding of where these things come from gives me a little bit more incentive to practice better. Mm-hmm. And I think that the teaching program was attractive to me because I also realized that if I have to explain it or teach it to somebody else, I have to kind of know it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the motivation to kind of go through it and to have multiple opportunities to hear it again, I think is helpful too, because what you hear at one point is not always the same thing that you might hear later on down the road because of your experiences.
Yeah, that's so true. And whether we know it or not, we are teaching. We're either teaching directly or we're teaching indirectly. And so for those of us who really have committed to living an optimal life, and everybody's all about you today. It's like ding, ding, ding. If we're willing to like live that optimized life, I think that you also have to be willing to feel uncomfortable. So just because we're learning these, concepts and we're practicing them on the daily, it doesn't mean that we're sliding down rainbows. I mean, we are living a more optimized life, and we absolutely are influencing other people's and impacting other people's life. But we don't do it with the expectation that life is now going to be perfect. And there's something very freeing about that. And I think our conversation kind of led us to, most people fear. We're afraid of being afraid. And when you feel like you've got this system that you can operate from, that creates a level of self-control that starts to kind of squash the fear. So you gave a great example of that on the call that I felt like really drove that home. But so tell everybody who's listening, what was the lesson today that you and the other student teacher cohorts brought forward?
So one of the strategies of utilizing your prodigy brain is to be open to discovering things and looking at things from different perspectives. But I think the nugget that I took away was that we need to do that without an agenda. We need to do it just like a child on a beach, flipping over seashells, just kind of looking and being curious and in awe and just kind of taking things in and not always trying to fix something or have an agenda in place, and that we keep coming back to it. We get down the path, but then we can come back to having to rediscover again whatever the circumstance is. And as things shift and as our learning shifts and as we build the confidence within ourselves, and then recognizing that, it's a journey, it's not a destination, and that we're going to get there over time. And with each step, we get stronger and stronger at building that mental fitness that we're all hoping to stay in our prodigy brain and not always react in a primitive way to things.
Yeah. I mean, Self-Made You brings forward a curriculum of discovery. You are discovering so much about yourself. And you may have felt very resistant to that, due to fear, due to the sentences that are rattling through your brain around how broken you are. It's like once you discover, a lot of the people that were on the call today probably discovered that a lot of these sentences that they're operating from are normal. A lot of people operate from the thought of, I have to figure this out, which makes them feel like they're broken in the first place, which
they're stressed
down. Yeah, it creates stress and it shuts down any sort of innovation, any sort of discovery, right? And so just showing up for a call like this, you discover that you're not broken. That is the way of the primitive brain. But the best news through our curriculum that I think anybody can walk away with is that you actually can operate from the other part of your brain, which will create a sense of self-control, which opens you up to empathy, discovery, innovation. So yeah, it's all about the exploration of self, and it might sound a little woo-woo, but it changes lives. It solves problems.
You show up feeling completely different. It takes all the stress and pressure off of having this solution or coming up with the right answer. You can do it imperfectly, and you will continue to rediscover. And that the ultimate goal is just to become stronger and live more in our prodigy brain versus our primitive brain.
Yep. Amen. So if you are listening to this, or if you have a family member that you wish would listen to this, sign them up for Mind Over Matter. It is our 3-day event. It is March 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's live at noon Central Standard Time, but it's all recorded. So it's $27. It is my absolute best material. I wish I would have had the self-control operating system 20 years ago. But it is the system that you can start operating from that will solve your problems, and it will assist you in achieving any goal that you have. And I'm going to teach it to you. So show up, get signed up. We'll put the link below. And again, it's recorded. So if you can't be there at noon Central Standard Time, no worries. But there's also a series of emails that you get between now and then that are really going to drive home what this operating system can do for you. And it's very simple, you guys. It's so easy to remember because it's SELF. You're going to learn those 4 components and not only gain the insight of what it all means, but we're going to teach you how to apply it in your life, which is what actually creates change. So I highly encourage you guys to get registered for that. Anything else you want to say, Kim?
No, I was just going to say, application is the key, right? Like we learn, we gather all this information and data. You go to seminars, you sit around listening to all the things that you're supposed to be doing. And then you go home and a couple of weeks later, a month later, like the excitement is worn off and you fail to apply. So the self is easy to apply, and there's, different strategies and ways that you can do it. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Amen. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.